And welcome to Bass and Bonsai. This is the Fireball Weekend Report, Wrap Up, whatever you want to call it. Oh, look, there's a little sip in there for you guys. So, those of you that are familiar and follow the channel will understand what I'm going to be talking about. And if you don't, you're going to need to subscribe to Bass and Bonsai and go back and watch for the last, I don't know, 5 to 7 years. And then you'll get it. So, some of you may be wondering why there was no Fireball Friday night. Well, I blame the Fireball. I had a little too much Fireball. We actually had a little mini party kind of thing, and I was going to make one, and I'm like, you know what? I may be one too many Fireballs in to actually go live on YouTube. So I didn't. Anyway, but I did have to go to bed early enough to get up and go fishing with Charles. So I did that, and I'm going to just... For those of you that don't want to listen to me rant on forever, I'm going to show you the two baits that were just tearing them up the entire day. Although we tried a bunch of different baits. But Charles, and if you follow the channel, you'll remember me talking about how Charles was just flat out catching them a couple weeks ago when we were out with that. Now this is a Zinkers, but a June bug colored, and that's how we rig them up, either with the, that's a 16th ounce. Charles actually using, I think, either a 3/16 or a 1/4 ounce. And he was flat, definitely his just best bait. Like every time he threw it, he could get on some fish. Didn't catch any giants with it. We weren't really in the land of giants, but that bait was flat out what was working for him. So, you know me, that's my rod and setup, and I started throwing that like 4.5 hours into the day, and it was working for me too. But before all of that, what really my go-to bait, I mean, if I would have been throwing that as long as him, but I was throwing 16th ounce, and I think it wasn't working as good as I should have went a little heavier like he was. But for me, my bait that just was flat working awesome, and I think it kind of faded off towards the end of the day as we were ending, like we stopped about 4 or 5 p.m. We were going to keep going until it got dark, but that was another 4 hours and the bite had slowed down, so we're like, yeah, we'll just call it. But that is the, no, that's not a Strike King bait. That is the Zoom Baby Brush Hog. In, though, that favorite color of like what Strike King also has, that green pumpkin, purple, and gold flake. That dude right there caught the big fish of the day. Wasn't a giant, but it was like 2.5 pounds. And another good thing about the Zoom, that is only the second one I used, and I don't know how many fish I caught. I caught a bunch of fish on this setup right here, and this is the 803, and that's just a cheap 1/4 ounce lead bullet weight, and then I'm not sure what exact hook that is. It does have a longer, where you put the head of the bait on is longer, and so you can feed bait up a little bit more. But the Baby Brush Hog, now the first one I had, I did actually flip it once. It got chewed up enough that I had to flip it around and still used it. And then, dummy me, I hadn't checked my line, and the line broke. I lost everything. I wasn't a giant or nothing that broke me off. It broke from this beating on this so many times. And this one I need to retie before I go out, and that's one of the downsides to this kind of fishing. But I wasn't doing any pegging or anything. I just rigged that up and was tossing it out, and just kind of almost working it like you were the shaky head, but then I was just working all different ways, but it seemed to be just that bait was on it, and caught the, as you'll see in upcoming video, caught the biggest of the day for that day, but caught all my numbers. Like I felt the minute I threw this 3 to 5 casts, I probably got hit by something. So where we were, if you guys are familiar with the channel, you'll know that you've heard me talk about Paradise. We fished at Paradise before. That's where we went. There's two things at Paradise. My personal best bass that I caught is in Paradise, and a bunch of dinks that you got to get through dinks before you usually can catch something bigger. But I think they have been keeping some bigger bass out of there, not me. I think it, I don't know how many people fish this place. For your information, it is a old coal strip pit, so it's deep, not real wide, but it's got grass, like, you know, it's clear water. And as you'll see in some of the upcoming videos, almost everything I use is probably a little too clear for that, so we kind of went with some of these. And it was kind of a, I don't know, like, well, these colors seem to be working, the brownish type colors. Charles also did decent on some peanut butter and jelly stuff. I could not get my peanut butter, and here it is right here. I didn't even think about bringing it out, but I couldn't get my peanut butter and jelly jig to do anything. But it's like there's literally almost grass everywhere on the edges, and as it gets deep, there's just like nothing, and it's almost like nothing lives out there. Now you can sometimes get them to, if you can get something right along the bottom edge where the grass does stop. But anyway, it's kind of like throwing stuff along the edge of the grass and just figure out what depth they'll hit it and then kind of what they want. But Charles, I don't have an actual chatterbait like that, and he said he got the skirt from me. But Charles's next best bait was actually a chatterbait. Now this is a funky rigged up one, but he took like I think it was a Z-Man original, but he put one of these skirts. If you remember right, I bought these last year, and I've tried them briefly. Now that color never worked as good for me as what it was for Charles on a Saturday. So that was his probably next one. I caught him on you guys know me, I was throwing all kinds of different chatterbaits. I caught him on a lot of different chatterbaits, but no, not one chatterbait just stood out. I was like, wow, that's what they're hitting. The one Charles finally stuck with seemed to do pretty good. But I did manage to catch him on this chatterbait. At one point, I thought, okay, that might be a color, and then, I know it's white and all that, but they seemed to hit it pretty good when we first got there, and then it faded off, and I'll talk about this stuff later. But then, yeah, I got it out here. This guy, which has been working for the last few weeks, kind of why that June bug worm is working also, just a kind of a green pumpkin-y deal with that June bug swim on. Was also working, but I wouldn't call it that's a go-to for sure. I finally got some fish catches, one or two, but nothing to write home about. That's the one that looks just like my favorite color spinnerbait, which actually, luckily, I got it right here. But I like that, and it's not at first I thought this was the Wagasaki or whatever. This is the gill color from Mega Bass. On there, that's the SV3 knockoff though, but the gill color or whatever, and that's not far off. But I have way more confidence in this spinnerbait, and I briefly tried this yesterday, but they weren't really in the mood for spinnerbaits either. But when I was doing a head-to-head here a week before last at a Pogue, this was nothing compared to this. This is what I got most of my fish on when I was kind of doing that comparison. This one, I couldn't even manage to catch a fish. That's why I tried it Saturday, just to try it, to finally catch a fish on it. So there's a brief period where chatterbait where everything kind of kicked in, like the bite turned on, right? Because it got a little overcast. It was windy almost all day. The wind died off right around 4 or so when we were getting ready to leave. But it had been windy all day, but when it got overcast, you could just tell they got a little more in the mood, right? So chatterbaits kind of kicked in a little bit. Like I mentioned, though, I couldn't really throw a chatterbait consistently. I felt like if I had to change a color, and then I might get bit. It was kind of one of those weird things. You guys know what I'm talking about if you fish long enough. It's like you hook a bait on, whether you tie it on or snap it on, and then you throw it out, and within 3 casts, you catch a fish, and then 50 casts later, there's no fish. You tie on another bait, within a couple casts, catch fish, and one of those it's kind of a tougher bite going, but it was still a bite. You could still catch fish. And I decided when that bite started kicking on, because I also did catch a couple, like I mentioned, if you wanted to go by what couple colors were actually working that day, it seemed to be something with a brownish green pumpkin-y, which is a dark, and sometimes this green pumpkin kind of almost looks brownish, especially in that purple and gold flake. Not really a true green, and then brown, and then the purple for whatever reason. Now I did manage, I think I finally got a fish or 2 on this one, which this one, the only difference really between this is pretty much a touch brighter overall, but the trailer is a little bit brighter. It's more of that sapphire blue instead of but pretty much identical bait, same heads and all that kind of thing. But it took it slightly to get a little overcast before the brighter colors were okay. But then once Charles and I actually started switching to the more of green pumpkin and purple and gold, I also did it. I guess I'll talk about this real quick first. So I also rigged up our little mini max, but instead of got like putting, a small, appropriate, in my opinion, trailer to a true mini max, I put a full size menace on instead of the baby, instead of a baby rage menace, which isn't a huge difference, but there is a difference. I just put the full size on and instantly, but it was one of those, instantly got I think first or second cast, caught a bass, but then it seemed they just weren't as in tune. Like, honestly, I didn't want to destroy the bait, but I would have probably had better luck if I'd have ripped every one of these colors completely off of the bottom. I probably could have caught more fish on that given day. I'm like, yeah, we'll leave it alone. I got all these other chatterbaits to try. But what Brew Tank and some of you will be happy to know that finally, our Fireball, this is Fireball, in case you guys don't know, don't follow the channel. Our Fireball chatterbait finally got on, and that video is going to drop here in the next hour and a half, just a little short video. I finally caught a bass on Fireball, and I put a Baby Rage Menace, of course, you know the color, and it did not take many casts, bam, caught up, and pretty good size. Wasn't the biggest of the day or anything, but pretty decent chunk on Fireball. So Fireball has officially caught a fish. But what's funny is, and you'll see in the video, because I actually do it at the beginning of the video, I came in here and I literally took, not quite maybe half, but I took even more red out. I just wanted mainly the browns in there, and instantly, boop, Fireball catches fish. So like I was telling Charles, I don't even remember what skirt material I used, but I do remember I tied on some extra, the lighter brownish, almost yellow, into this bait, and I think I originally pulled some of the red out, but before I cast it Saturday, I pulled even more red off. But that bait it looks pretty good. Like, that bait looks like it would get hit anyway, but I think it had a little too much red in it. And it may still have too much red in it for any given day to be working. So, if you have any questions, and thanks everybody for watching, all two of you. Appreciate you. And I hate that saying. You know what I'm talking about? Somebody's like, appreciate you. And they say it so fast, like, you don't even got the common courtesy to give me a full thanks a lot, man deal. So, it is what it is. That's another one I hate. Appreciate you. It is what it is. Those two sayings get on my nerves, and it's mainly the way people say them. So let's jump to this little finessey thing, right? Was it working? Well, it was, but wasn't because of these. I'll show you. Well, partially it was and partially it wasn't. The one that kind of worked, and then I just stopped using it because, I don't know, I wanted to go other ways, but the Oshakira head with the actual spark shad, little 3-inch dude, kind of a brownish color. I think this bait probably would have been better if that head wasn't so white, but it caught fish. Like, I threw it, and that's our new, I just wanted to get our new put together. I've owned both of these for a while now, just put them together for this weekend, and actually this is a pretty good setup. I think I put that little video together because this head worked, and I also rigged up, I think, one of these guys on it after that one. He started to rip off, so I took that one off, put another one on, but then I wanted to try our little Meredith ones because these are cheaper than those. And I just wish they had that in a solid color. They come close, but the white belly sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But anyway, that was kind of working, and I'll be honest, this right here, I never got around to throwing a willow vibe. Charles threw one briefly yesterday, and I think he caught a fish or two on it. But I bought the willow vibes for that reason. If Charles would have started throwing his and just tearing them up, I was like, I got my willow vibes. Because they do have a more, I don't know, it's hard to explain. And you guys that throw the willow vibes will know. So I've kind of always just, instead, I'm like, well, I won't buy those. I had already bought the micro chatterbaits, and I'm like, they're pretty close, right? But this does have this crazier just wobble because of that willow, the way it is. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll at least buy a pack of the, I believe these are the quarter, the smallest ones you can get. But I didn't even throw it because if Charles would have got on the bite with his, I would have thrown it. But I never even got this guy around to the, just an underspin. I only had one anyway, so, and I was going to throw that. But they were honestly hitting enough that you didn't need to go finesse. I was just going to try them out at some point, but I ended up between the chatterbaits, the spinnerbait. I don't think I threw any like swim jigs. Oh, I was trying Strike King soft plastic. I'll be honest, not a fan of anything other than these guys right here, or the, where's the bigger one? So out of Strike King, all the plastics they make, that's what I like. And honestly, I like those colors the best. But all of the Rage Menace, Baby Rage Menace, I've got several colors, all white. You can see one down there. Somewhere there's a, well, here's one up here. These blues like that on the back of the darker chatterbaits at times. But I don't even think I saved the footage because I was fishing it. The other day I'd fished, and you may see the footage yet, but I'd had the Ocho out in my favorite color. There's just something about this bait. It's all right, but it doesn't have that like wow factor in my opinion. And I threw a rodent for a while, and I just honestly, although they make the rodent in my favorite color, I think a truly, oh shoot, I done spaced off the name of it. Sweet Beaver is hands down going to be a better option if you're buying those style baits over a rodent. So, in other words, I won't be buying any more Strike King soft plastic other than these as they wear out for my trailers. But what I keep telling myself to do is rig these up by themselves, and I don't think I even got around to doing it yesterday, but I've been meaning to just, you know, try them by themselves, and maybe even kind of like this kind of deal, even the full Rage Menace on like a small swim jig finesse deal stuff, because there's just something about the way these, if you watch these go through the water, they just have that like hypnotizing swim to them. I think that's one of the reasons why bass can't hardly resist them once you get on the right color for any given day, you know what I mean? I also tried the Rage Craws. I can't get a reading on a Rage Crawl because one of the freaking things falls off so fast after so many, like, I'm not messing with Rage Craws. They may be one of the most awesome baits in the world, but I feel like you need to go where there's only big fish that are going to suck the whole thing in, because after one or two, I may get the fish, may not. One of the, you know, arms is gone, and I'm like, man, that is just not, it's not me. So there's my little rant with the Strike King soft plastics. And I'll go on a rant right now because you guys heard me praise Z-Man. Z-Man creature stuff, generally, it sucks too. So far, if I had to go with a creature bait, now you guys comment because I'm not real other than the Sweet Beaver and a Smalley Beaver, but they do kind of wear out. And then also briefly, I tried the Bandito Bug, but they also fall off so fast, it's like ridiculous. But I would pick a Bandito Bug over a Rage Crawl just for how, at least they'll kind of stay on till you, either the fish completely takes it, you won't have them nipping it off. But so far, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I'll grab them just to show you. And this is a pretty good color too. In my opinion, my favorite creature style bait, there's actually two, but this one is tops over the Bass Pro ones. Bass Pro's actually got a couple. But I still like these Riot baits, the Fuzzy Beaver and the Little Fuzzy. I think this is, yeah, the Little Fuzzy in that Slayer color, because it's kind of got the both, right? You got that kind of, you know, it's like pick your poison, so to speak. But these baits, now they're you're going to go through some, but they tend to be capable of catching some fish before they just fall off. And what's also cool about these is they've got the on the, whether you call these tentacles or claws or whatever. I'll try to show you guys. One side has the flapper and the other side doesn't. Let me see if I can turn it. And then the other one has it the opposite way. So they will, if that makes sense. So instead of like on the Rage stuff has it both sides, right? See that on both sides on both baits. So, but they could just be flopping who knows which way. These kind of do it a different way, to where they've just got it. That's kind of a dark color, see. So this one's got it down and that one's got it up. See that, if it makes sense? So they just give you that thing, and these have just enough appendages on them to, you can, if you want to try to throw it in tight, or if you're just throwing it out in the wide open, there's enough down there going on, moving, and it's got enough when they grab on it, it feels like, in my opinion, it's going to feel like the sticky, slimy, but something alive, and it does stay on pretty good. But I was using these also as my trailers for like chatterbaits also. Those, they work just like the smallie beaver, like a sweet beaver if you're on the big full-size chatterbait, you want a full profile. But I think I'm going to start utilizing these more. I think my days of worrying about what creature style, I'm just going to go back to these, because I tried these like, what, 3-4 years, like several years back. I'm like, yeah, these are good. And I was like, well, maybe I'll try something else. And then Z-Man came out, the Gremlin. So far, the Gremlin is a dud to me. Like, I feel like the palmetto bug and so far the Gremlin, oh yeah, they'll stay on your hook forever, and fish won't hit them near as well as a lot of these other plastic. I don't know what it is about them. Well, one thing is that they just don't have the right colors, because they don't offer either of those two in any sort of colors like they do their oh shoot, like they do the Zinkers, their stick bait worm deal. So yeah, I think I need to just focus on going back to probably those instead of the sweet beavers, because those do outlast a sweet beaver. As far as getting hit, you could talk. There's a ton of colors also in the sweet beaver, but there's quite a few. They don't have a ton of colors, but they've got a lot of very good colors in the riot baits. And I tried briefly some of the missile baits, but yeah, I don't know if I want to go there or not. So that's just my take on creature style baits. I would pick the riot probably, in my opinion, over the rodent, over the sweet beaver, just because it will get you more bites before it's gone, kind of thing. And I don't think I've ever really put them head to head. I know there's something else I could do on the channel, but probably not. I'll probably just maybe get some of the full size fuzzy beaver, maybe the little fuzzies and a few different colors. I don't have to look and see what all they got and where. I don't even know. I guess they still make. I haven't even looked at riot bait stuff in forever, probably 3 or 4 years. So back to what we talked about. I never even got to throw. I was going to try to get this dark sleeper and give it a throw or two. As you can see, it's set around with other stuff so long. It's got purple faded into it. It probably would have caught a fish if I'd have thrown it, but it was sitting over there. That's the only reason I brought it out. I was like, let's just bring it out and say that I meant to get it out. I didn't get it out. I'm not buying any more of the Judge. I do have the few I have. I'm trying to cut them down and rig them up different ways. I had a couple hits on it. I did try this color because it's kind of got that, brownish color, but I just don't think I'll be buying those 6 cents deals anymore. I even went ahead and rigged one up. I didn't throw these. These are just what I think I rigged these up last night or this morning or sometime. I rigged up a couple to try just on a swim, because I like the way that tail, man. It looks good, but the fish don't like it all that well, or I just haven't gotten on the right fish that like it. But since I bought the 2 packs, I do not plan on so far buying any more of the 6 cents soft stuff. The hard baits, if you remember we talking about, I like the oh yeah, that reminds me, I got to talk about an AliExpress bait too. And I think Charles said Everhart's is they just got a deal going, 6 cents. They're gonna be carrying their stuff and probably some of those, but the Quake 70s and 80s and 60s or whatever, but that crackle crawl, but I want the big crackle crawl, and I don't think you can get it. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but they used to. Just like my favorite Booyah hard knocker in a 3/4 ounce Toledo Gold. Like, you can't find those anymore. They sell a 3/4 ounce, but it's the one knocker, not the hard knocker, in the Toledo Gold. And I still have the one hard knocker, and then I've got like two one knockers and 3/4, and then I got like a couple of the, yeah, still got a couple of the hard knockers in the 1/2 ounce. But I'm kind of wanting to veer off from Booyah and go towards maybe those 6 cents ones. I don't know. But speaking of that, while we're on that subject, I went ahead. I got two things I'll show you. And changed them all out because I just happened to open up my box and realized that I did have enough hooks to do it, and I'll just cover these up for now. So I didn't really try too many rattle traps, but I did get this guy out and caught, I don't know, probably one or two. But we tried rattle traps just enough to realize that they're not really hitting rattle traps that great. But this little dude right here started getting hit like wildfire. You guys know that song? She wrote in a wildfire. This little bait right here blew the eyes off of it and everything else, but I could not get a fish hook to save my life. So I went through and I even changed out all of them because I'm like, I'm not throwing this again until it's got hooks that might possibly catch something. So I don't even know when I bought all these red hooks, but they were the same size. And I threw all the others in the trash. Let's see if I can dig one out there. There's one. I'll try to show you guys. I have a little, I don't even know what you call it. Oh, that's just a McDonald's plastic paper bag from whenever I throw crap in. But so here's what it came with. What's up, Michael? So anyway, okay, and these, I kind of thought I liked these, you know. I mean, I guess I don't, not on rattle traps. But these are supposed to be the ones that are more prone to, once the fish bite them, they'll stay on, right? And they're less likely to get hung up. But I'm telling you right now, that hook, it kind of looks okay. And I'll try to show you the 6 cents ones right here. Now this is a bigger thing, but see how they're curved into? And so far, all the 6 cent stuff seems to be okay. But like your Strike King stuff, I forget, they've got fancy names for them, but I just call them straight or bent in. But, you know, they're just a round bend, and they go straight parallel with the main deal. So, you know, that barb is what's going to keep that hook, hopefully, in the fish, or just the pressure and the rod bend, right? It's not going to let it jump back out. But these, I think it's, see how that right at the tip, they just got the extra little in for no reason whatsoever, because the curve needs to happen past the barb, right? So let me see what. I think that's why these are sucking, because see how these are? They actually go up, and even back here past the barb is starting to curve in, so it just gives you a little more bite. These, I guess I just think that they emphasized too much in here going in, but they still look like they probably would have. I don't know. I'm just telling you right now. That's what. I'll throw that back in the trash. They sucked because see how these are straight, and like on my, I think all of the Strike King, the Booyahs, that's what I like. Like these are the ones that they'll tell you if fish are swatting at stuff, you know, this is the style hook you want. They're more likely to grab onto something. Yes, wood included. But I've always liked just what comes on the Booyahs. I actually like what comes on. And here's another one that's funny because I think Booyah changed at some point, because these are a little different. If you look, see how they're, but if you see, it starts down here, and they're not as in whatever. So I guess a guy could throw the original one of these around probably more brushy, woody stuff and not get hung up as bad. But man, I'm telling you, hookup ratio sucked. But like these baits, my favorites are just like what these Strike Kings are. They they come right back up, and they're either parallel, or as you can see, some of these are actually almost out just a hair. That one probably needs bin in. Did I catch a fish? I think I caught a few fish on that. But I've had better luck, in my opinion, with those. And then, so we'll compare a few others. While we're sitting here comparing, leave that dude out. I need to put a band on him. That's a 6 cents, I think. Now, this is the different one. This is the Duke, I believe. Now, see, it looks pretty good. See how the whole thing is turned in a little bit? Not bad, but still not my favorite. But these, I've actually caught a few fish on that. They work. But let's look at, so here's some LV 500s. See, they're just straight. That's right there. That's my favorite kind of hook to have on a rattle trap. I don't know. I got somewhere in here. Let's look at my old nasty one. Oh, I changed out the hooks on that. No, did I? No, I think those. I don't even know. I know it came with red hooks, but those may be older hooks because they look funky. I'll be honest. Look at this nasty bait. I can guarantee you right now, these old nasty hooks, I would have caught at least half of the fish, or probably more, that bit on that other bait if they'd have bit on this, even though those hooks are old and nasty. That bait's nasty. What are you doing in there, nasty bait? So now, though, these are knockoffs. They were only like a couple bucks each, and I don't know how much these red hooks were, but I'm sure they weren't too expensive because I bought them probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. And luckily, I had just the right amount, and they are the right size. They just barely touch, but they can't get caught up or whatever, and they're roughly the same thickness. They're actually a little thinner, but that's fine. This is a smaller bait. I'm not gonna be throwing it on giant line anyway. So I just changed them all. I'm like, well, I'll just change them all because that bait did get hit. Surprisingly, not surprisingly, I believe that is a Jackal TN60 knockoff. That thing definitely gets hit. So it's got that kind of lead right here. And that's the only color I tried. I tried it, and I think it was and I was trying it on the Poison Adrena, which is my favorite rattle trap rod. Not necessarily for this small, but so I threw it on Poison Adrena, and I feel like what would have touched and matched the biggest fish of the day, or was a big fish, hit this thing and came off. And I'm like, oh my God. So I threw again in the same spot, and I don't know if that same fish did it or what, but like it's like I couldn't get them to hook up. I threw it again, and they would not. I could kind of feel the weight, and then they came right off. Like if they'd just been whacking at it, I would have been like, well, the bite's off. So I honestly was like, what is going on? I'm like, well, that Poison Adrena, maybe it's not what I thought it was, and it just won't work for too many. So I'm like, well, let's try. I just bought this rod. So I'll show you guys this rod in case you're new to the channel. But I just picked up this rod up at Rogers, right, for just to try out. And I'm like, well, let's try our new KVD, glass rod, square bill, and red eye shads, even though this isn't a red eye shad, and let's just see what it'll do. Now, I did manage to catch a fish on it with this bait, but it also, I don't know, one or two. One, I felt the weight for sure. Another one kind of hit, and I don't know if it was me or the rod, or it was probably the combination of both and the hooks. I jumped on him a little quick. Instantly was gone. I finally caught like one of the 5 or 6, 7, however many hits I had on this bait. I finally caught a fish with it, and then I was just like, I'm done. I put it up. I'm like, I'm changing the hooks out, but it definitely, I guess, gets enough time for me to put hooks on it because it was getting bit. And in all that process of jacking around and whatever, and I switched out through the Booyah also on the Poison Adrena just to reassure myself it works, and boom, caught a fish, no problem, hookup was fine. So I'm going to try it with some of these smaller ones. I'm going to try with the Poison Adrena, but if the hookup ratio still seems off with it, I'll just stick with that KVD rod. It definitely has a lighter tip to it. So you guys know this deal, right? Buy these little bands. I need to buy more. These are like throwaway bands. Once you put them on, they've set very long. When you go to take them off, they're like all deformed, and then you'll need to get another one. But I mean, you can go up to what is now not Dollar Tree, it's a $1.25 tree. and get like this thing for like $1.25. So I need to go. This is not that old. I bought this year. I wrapped them all up, and well, I've used them for other stuff too. You can actually there's a bunch of them right here. Well, there's probably half of them right there. What it's kind of cool with these because they don't really eat up any of your silicone or anything on your skirts or whatever. Sometimes this kind of deal. So like if you just put one of these, whether it's a dirty jigs, a do it molds or whatever, and you just put a skirt on, you're like, man, that's awful. You don't want it that poofy. Now it's harder to do on like one of these kind of deals, but you can rig this thing up and wrap it around the skirt, just like a couple wraps or something. I'm just showing you. I'm not going to leave it on this one. Like you can do something like that just to pin it down with these bands too. There's just a lot of uses to those bands. And then after a week, couple weeks, if you're wanting to do that with your skirt, some guys like them to be as poofy or whatever, but I've had some of those on these little bait, just wrap them up and then leave it on there for a while. But simple thing to slap on there and oh boy, get off of there. And they're pretty tough. I mean, they're just not like, they're just a little mini rubber band that's pretty stout. You want to see how long it takes to break one? Let's check the force. Let's hook it. Oh, and that thing's probably going to break right where it's going to sting me, so I ain't going to mess with it. I know I'm a wuss. All right, hang on. Let me read a few comments here. No, I didn't do Fireball Friday. And no, you didn't miss it. I missed it. You guys all missed it because I missed it. I was going to do one. I talked about it before. I had too many fireballs. So anyway. The Chatterbaits. A couple of you have commented like, stop with the Chatterbaits. No, we're never stopping with the Chatterbaits. They're like, I have an obsession with Chatterbaits. Some people would say I have an obsession with rattle traps, which I would love if I could go out every day and fish with a rattle trap. But they're just not rattle trap fish out there every day. But this is one of the long bomb casts. Just reel it back. Doesn't take a lot. I just every once in a while I kind of like I'm popping it out of grass and then figure out what speed and what depth roughly they are at when they are hitting it. And then when you just find that, and then you just repeat that. But they're not biting these every day. And they're not biting chatterbaits every day. But they, and somebody had commented, you guys know about the internet and in the comments, and somebody's like, 85% of fishermen don't know how to fish. Like, get out of here. If you can go out and catch a fish, guess what? You know how to fish. Stop being a moron. So anyway, I also finally fixed, I'll just show it to you since it's on my mind, and I was talking about hooks. You're going to probably see a video or two where I keep repeatedly using this bait with the front hook broke, and it still catches some fish, but I just slapped another red hook on that because it was the right weight and whatever. And it's right there, so if they come in and that red means anything to them, they may hit it more centered or whatever. But anyway, I just replaced the hook on the one megabass that I have that I broke, and I keep talking about it. These are the only two 110 juniors that I own, and I did catch a fish. I think every time I've went fishing, I've just thrown that one, and I have caught a fish or two, but there's really not a jerkbait bite going on what I felt like we need to stay on jerkbaits. But I want to get the matte shad color for sure. I want to get a more even natural, something to touch on the ghosty side, because we keep hitting this clear water. And what's weird is we had a lot of rain, but all the water seems to be fairly clear. I didn't even throw this guy. I threw this one a little, caught a fish, and they weren't on it enough every time I have gotten it out to where I just... But I do want to get the matte shad because I feel if I had a even more natural... This kind of looks natural, but it stands out. You get it in that clear water, you can kind of tell it stands out. This one stands out. Actually, if it wasn't for the chartreuse on this one, on the belly, it wouldn't stand out as much as that white, like on the side. If they're looking at it anywhere near the side, it's when they're looking up at it. Anyway, the matte shad one would probably fill up my kind of what I feel I would need. And then the whatever the one that's got a touch of pink, I can't remember, cherry something, GXP cherry something, whatever. Oh, I do need to talk about this one. I did briefly throw this one. I didn't go into, I just threw that one and I threw this one. I meant to, and I didn't make it to the Jackals. Why is this one undone? Oh, I did throw this one, not yet Saturday, but I threw it sometime. I can't remember when now. But I do have a couple of the re-ranges, right? This is kind of... This is the more flashy of the two. This is the one that actually I got because it's kind of like that, but it's got a little more... But I have caught fish on both of these, just not this season so far. But I briefly threw this one. I can't remember when it was. I did throw this one yesterday, though, and no takers. And I meant to throw, I was going to throw this guy, and I didn't get around to him. I didn't even grab him. Let me get another band on him. When I'm thinking of it, I try to keep them all in some sort of... And that's one thing, I think it's these. Yeah, this one, I believe these, yeah, they will hook. And I've had that happen a couple times. This is another one of those deals, like if you're dealing... Where'd that band go? If you're dealing with the swim on, if you're dealing with Dr. Frankenstein or any crankbait that it's capable, the old man's baby -1s would do it to you. You have these big hooks. And if you throw a bait and you let it splash down like this in the water without stopping it, that's one of the fastest, easiest ways it'll do it. So if you notice that happening with the bait or the kamikaze swim on, the hook, the little hole, jumps up and the hook goes through the hole, try to just start stopping that right before it hits the water. Because if you're, the bait's going like, you cast and however it's going or whatever, but a lot of times if it hits and it lands, it pushes all that up. So if you pull, bring it down, less likely to happen anyway. A lot of people say that and comment about, this or that bait sucking because of this or that. And that just brought me to another subject. I just happened to notice, this is a whole different deal, talking about though people commenting in reviews and stuff on baits. I'm not even sure why I was on Tackle Warehouse today, and I noticed that the Z-Man Zinkers only had one review that was like a recent one, and all the past ones, they had different people, but I read through some of them. Or just swap the middle treble with a smaller one. It's what I do anyway. Yeah, I mean, you can. But once I realized that, like on the re-range anyway, I realized it did that. So I'd cast out. Normally with a jerkbait, I'm casting and I'm not like trying to throw it in a little certain area. So I'd sometimes have to let it land hard or whatever. I can just cast, and then right as it's going to land, it's just kind of a habit you get into, stopping the bait. And the reason that I say that if you just get used to that, because then you're going to end up running those little 2-hook baits, and you can't really, you can downsize the hooks is a simple way to do that. But some things, just like Dr. Frankenstein, who's floating around here somewhere, they just work so well with that size hook. And I'm not even sure why. But like, this is a perfect little bait. This little bait, in my opinion, works better with a bigger hook on it. And it will do that too. But I just cast that little dude right up in something right as it's hitting, don't slow it down. And then just start reeling back slow, kind of a little subtle, finesse-y, and bing! And those hooks right there, just flat. They're not, they're small hooks, but for the size of the bait, they're actually a pretty big hook. Now, you can get them, and they'll come with these little bitty hooks, but I've always just had better luck with just leaving. The first one I ever bought came with big hooks, and then I found that a lot of them will come with big hooks, so I don't really change them out, but the ones I find myself always grabbing the ones with the big hooks, and I still have the ones with the little hooks that are set and dry that's never touched the water. And for some reason, I'm looking at it right now, this rod over here has the OG Doctor. I've never lost, I need to knock on wood, hang on. The OG Doctor is right there, and I switched out the hook and I put another big one, red one on it. But that dude, it's all rusty and nasty, but still just catches fish. I'm not even sure why it's rigged up on this rod right now, to tell you the truth. Oh, I know. When I went down to, when I walked and I was going to George Owens. That's right. But there's a new fresh Doctor. And they're an AliExpress bait, so yeah, sometimes you'll get them and the colors will be a touch different. But that, what I call Dr. Frankenstein, just those things reminded me of Frankenstein with the metal sticking out of his neck. I know. But this bait is excellent with crazy oversized hooks. And that's like, if you guys remember the old man's one baby minus ones, they were that little super shallow, not really a square bill, because they wouldn't get around like what square bills would around wood, but they just were super shallow crankbait. And it had big hooks, but I've caught a lot of big bass on those old ones back in the day. All right, is that all about baits? I want to go through my rod lineup with you guys. Let me see. We're already 46 minutes in. Well, we might as well. Do I want to talk any more about chatterbaits? So real quick about chatterbaits, we did catch one on Fireball. I didn't get anywhere with these. I did throw these briefly. And oh, that's another thing you guys have probably already figured out for yourselves, but the AliExpress stuff has come back down again in prices. It's not where it was. It's come back down. I don't think I really want to buy anything. I want to just see if it'll get back to where it was. And I think if I could just put a message out there to everybody that has bought something from AliExpress, if we don't buy it until they get back down to the prices that they were at, they'll have to put them there, or they just won't sell them. They probably won't sell the stuff, because I think we're one of the main buyers of that stuff. Just my opinion. But these were $11 at the height of the thing. I bought them for $6 or $6.50. I can't remember. It may have been closer to $7. I cannot remember now. I could probably go back and look on my history. They jumped to 11. I believe they're down to 9 now, so a few dollars more than they were. I'm still not like in love with them. They seem pretty good. I definitely like these better than the Z-Man's attempt at making a weedless chatterbait in the cross-eyes chatterbait. I do not like that chatterbait whatsoever. I have caught a couple fish, but the brief time, I think I just tried this one yesterday because it had more goldy brown stuff to it. But anyway, or maybe it was this one because of the tray. I don't know. I didn't get bit, in other words, though. I tried them. That didn't get bit, but this was getting bit, and then it kind of slowed down, and I tried that too, and nothing. These colors, which are very similar, right? Pretty much, if they're going to be hitting on one, you're probably going to get hit on the other. And these are more subtle, is what I thought. They're like a little more subtle, and not as thumpy as these. So I thought, well, maybe a little more subtle approach. Didn't work. So out of all these baits, even the jackhammers. Now, the jackhammer is right there with these baits, but those little Nobi ones in a 3/8, because I think when they weigh them, they weigh, and so yeah, these are both 3/8. When I think they weigh to see if they're 3/8, they're actually, after they're built, is how they go off of it. And I think the Jackie Hama knockoffs and all them, when they say they're 3/8, they go off the head and the hook, and I think it's before the skirt. Honestly, I think that is, because when you're weighing up baits for yourself, the Nobi 3/8 is the lightest, and it's also the one that will jump around more than the others. The jackhammer's right there with it. Then these 3/8, the Jackie Hamas. The weedless ones, the cross-eyes or those, and then any of these other. Oh, I want to talk about these baits too. So we're not done with baits. This little, which is a knockoff, it's from AliExpress. These are probably they only ever went maybe $1 more than they were before the whole tariff thing. But these are the Rum Blade or whatever, from Keytech or whatever. They're the knockoffs on AliExpress. Now I added this because I saw that other dude that makes the other chatterbaits. They have like a seashell looking deal up here with this blade on it. So I just slapped the blade on it. Have not tried this. This was something I did today. I added the black and blue. This was the pink one. I added the black and blue skirt to it and just never got around to throwing it. And then I got to jacking around today and went, I'm going to put a blade on it just to imitate what that other dude is making them and selling them. They're hardly ever available or whatever, but I may throw that one. If he does good, and then maybe I'll try to track down some of the other ones, but they're hard to get. I may just buy some more of these from AliExpress and make my own. Update on this guy. I finally got this moved all the way up to where there's no way that this can hit the chatterbait part. Because I was going to take it off, and I thought, well, I want to leave it. I want kind of what I'm doing here in the back, or like what somebody else has done. I'm just copying them. I'm not taking credit for it. I wanted to do in the front also, because this is a copy of like the oh shoot, it's some kind of military dude name. I can't remember it. It's a copy of that now with the blade on the back, but it's the rum blade copy. This is a copy of the puzzle piece, grass puzzle piece, whatever. So I'm going to get these both out. I might hit somewhere during the week this week, try to make a little short video, try those, just see how they swim, what they look like, and then see how well they'll get hit or not. I gave up on this process, just making some of these baits like this into weedless chatterbaits, because the whole, it doesn't work. I tried this one. They have this crazy weird, they don't swim right to me, and I don't think they get, I haven't even tried them long enough to tell how well they'll get hit or not, because I lose faith in them. I tried them on the smaller head. I'm out on that. It was something I tried, and I'm done. So I am going to try the 1/4 ounce mini max Evos I have. I think I'm going to try to start utilizing them more so as sort of full profile, but then with a milder chatter, because they definitely don't chatter as much as probably even those, and definitely not as much as any of the normal sizes, right? It's got a lot smaller blade. But then, just like I did with the, wherever I put them. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Just like I did with the original Mini-Max, I am going to also buy a few of the 3/8 and probably my favorite colors of the Mini-Max Evos, just like I did with the Mini-Max, to use in a 3/8, kind of like I do with these. Not necessarily so they'll jump around anymore. They'll have a more subtle buzz. They get down a little lower and then more compact. Because the thing is, when you add that thicker plastic, you would think they actually would make them ride higher, but the plastic that sinks, you can cast it a little further, the 1/4 ounce ones, and honestly, I think you can reel them at a slow pace like I did with the other ones, and it actually is it is riding, getting down a little deeper, is why I think I'll start trying those like that. But then if I'm looking for, and you could do it either way, if you're looking for a little bitty profile and you're wanting to be high in the water column, use the 1/4 ounce, you know, with the small baby Rage Menace or something, even that kicks like crazy, right? But if you want to get a little deeper with something like that, you could do that, or the 3/4. But with what I'm going to do with the ones I already have, the 1/4 ounce ones, is probably that kind of deal, because although they do kind of get hit, I feel they're hindered, just like the reason I switched out all my micros. The micros are so, I don't know, balloony with the skirt on them for no more than what they are, and these are 1/8 ounce, that they're better off to just take that off, kind of like this, and just put whatever your soft plastic of choice on and use them as like just you would a normal swim jig head or whatever, as a little mini chatterbait type thing. And so that's what I'm also going to do with these, is on, I'll probably try both the full size, that ain't the full size, full size Rage Menace and the baby Rage Menace, just on some of these different heads. The Willow Vibe, maybe even the Oshakira, you know, just different heads, and try those out. Maybe even on like a underspin type deal at some point or whatever. I just got to get them. I always get out on the water and I start fishing. I forget doing it. So this is stuff I need to, I do during the week, rig up some and put in the box and go, throw these, dummy. You know, just to try them out and test them out. So let's jump to my, I think I'm done with the baits. I'm not going to worry about putting anything up yet. Let's jump to my rod and reel stuff real quick. I know you guys are like, I've seen it, Charlie, but I've switched some stuff around and I got another reel coming. Because there's two things. Somebody accused me of not knowing how to fish chatterbaits, and then somebody said I was becoming a loser. You know who you are. And if you guys don't know what a loser is there anybody that uses lose reels and rods? Well, stuff. But, you know, it's like in an affectionate, loving way we call you a loser. Right, KVD, and Greg Hackney, Mark Zona? You guys know who you are. Now, me, I'm not a Daiwa or Shimano fanboy. I'm definitely not uppity enough to call myself a Shimano fanboy. And I'm not any of the other ones out there. But you guys know the deal. If I had to pick Daiwa, you're still top dog. Some of the best reels ever made, but crazy expensive. That's why I'm not on them. Or made through Daiwa by Megabass. Hence the TD Ito. Awesome reels. This one still works fine, but it's actually my son's. I don't even know why I still have it here. Probably need to take it Valentine. Used to be an Abu Garcia Revo fan. The first and second gen Revos since then. By Abu Garcia. No, I did have the I call them the JDM Abus, the real small ones. I got one over here somewhere in a box, but the MG Extreme 2. Let's go with what happened. So what had happened was, you guys know the deal. I do have a Shimano. I showed it briefly. So this is my lightest of what I call regular gear, but this is on the verge of BFS. That is a BFS reel, the Calcutta Conquest BFS 2017 model, HG version, if you go for the full deal. The newer reel, I kind of want one, but I just can't make myself to buy one since I still have this one. I've offered this one for sale for $200 for I don't know how long, to Brew Tank especially, but any of you guys, nobody wanted it. It's got the chameleon spool from AliExpress in it. I got the stock spool. That's without this. That was with the stock handle. $200. So I put this handle on it and put it on the Conquest that I bought. And that's kind of my, it can handle everything. I treat it just like I do BFS. I might be throwing a jig thing with this. I might be throwing a small crank, that Dr. Crankenstein you just saw. I'll throw him with it because those hooks that are big are good enough for this rod. Right, and just a lot of everything. Cranks, bouncing stuff on bottom. This is a sensitive rod, little bitty, so of a size. But like if I wanted to, I could take this little dude, like this little micro jig, that hook right there. Even though it's a little stunner, this rod's still capable enough. That kind of stuff. Just all around lightweight finesse rod and reel combo that's very capable. That's the downside to this. I wish it was 6'8", but I keep wanting to call it that, the 802, but it's actually the 782, which is 6'6". Fast, medium, quarter to 5/8, 8 to 14. It's got a very, what seems like a soft kind of tip, and then jumps in, but I call it, it's not a like the tip doesn't let it be a medium. It's softer. I call it for sure, medium light or light, honestly. It's not much different than my feeling or the Teton as far as what it can throw down to, in other words, but it's a pretty stout one. So then one up from there, one notch, actually same power rating, but this rod just has a way more powerful feeling than that rod. The tips are, even the tip just has a little more, in my opinion, stiffness to it. Is this combo, which that's a Steez Limited. That's a shallow spool one, 8.5 to 1, and that's the 802 jig warm rod, NRX Plus, 6'8", extra fast, 8 to 3/8, 10 to 14. I would call this a heavier overall rod, though, in my opinion, than that one, the Conquest. Even though the Conquest, I think, doesn't go down to that low, does it? Let me read that again. Yeah, it says a quarter to 5/8, but honestly, it'll throw just as light or lighter than what the other 802 does. So, as you saw, what's on there, like I talked about the other one, but this rod has more or less, the 802 that is. I originally just got it back. I'd had the older ones, and I got another NRX Plus just so I could throw shaky heads and this kind of thing. Like, that's my backup finesse, kind of deal with 10-pound test. Both of that one I just showed you and this one are my only two regular rods rigged up with 10-pound. Everything else has 15 to 20. And then and this weekend was the first time I tried it, and I kind of just rigged it up. So this was the only rod that I've fished in I don't know how long with no snap. So I Texas rigged it and was throwing that baby brush hog, tearing them up. Another limited shallow spool with the 803 though. Jig and worm rod, 6/8, 3/16 to 5/8, 12 to 16 pound. This is, I believe, I got 20 all the way around it. Just because the P-line original that I use as a leader, the 20 pound is just a hair thicker than the 15, so I just bought 20 last go around. Custom knobs. These are definitely different than what you guys have seen. Nobody has these but me because they started out. They started out like these. And after some whittling and some time, I got them to look like that. So that rod, and I'm going to set it down real quick because I want to show you something what I was also working on today. Today I was going to go fishing, but I'm like, I got too much other stuff I had to do. I mean, I know it looks unorganized, but I had a lot of other stuff going on that I had to do. And since I had the time and I didn't go fishing, I rigged up another little honeydew. So you've seen the two. Yeah, you've seen the two Stees, you've seen the Conquest, and I've only got, there's going to be two more Stees come up. But I do have three of these reels, and the other one, the 7-1, so these are the Stees Limited shallow spools. Then I got this guy. This is the first one I believe I got, and it's just a regular one. It's not the shallow spool, but I put a shallow spool. That's the cheapest. That's probably the best deal I've gotten from AliExpress. That is a shallow spool with the boost. I put it in this reel. Then since then I added this. Let me try to get to focus. This knob. It's a stock handle, but I added this drag star, and then these knobs. These are still cut down from the ones I just showed you. Let me show you that again. So these were on the gold one handle I had, and it was on the Zillion, for those of you who follow along. Yeah, I switch stuff back and forth all the time. So if you can make it out, these are the stock. You can get these from Gomexis. I shaved a little bit of this down so it pushes them in that way slightly, and then I shaved a little bit to take the roundness off. I just didn't like how round it felt. Shaved it off that. Now, if all things go right, probably won't, but here's the plan. What got me in the mood today, and it looks better in person. This is one of those that in person it actually looks kind of better and cleaner, and it's going to look real good once I get it on, if I get the rod. So I've just showed you all the LEWsers stuff. What I want to get, but I cannot find a deal on one. They're $550. I want to get the MBR in the GLX, the more black, right? So there's none of the blue. So it's not too far. It's got the full handle, right? I want to get the GLX, the newest version of it. So it'll be everything close to what the NRX Plus is, but the MBR, it'll have a more, not parabolic, but closer to it. It won't have that faster action like what the Pluses do. So my plan is to put that baby on it. And that'll be what will be, hopefully, a contender to go up against my rod and reel combo I'm getting ready to show you, my favorite for chatterbaits. And all around. Like, I still have not found that rod. I've got a couple that are close that can just do everything. The ones I've just showed you, they are like a purpose driven thing, right? The NRX Plus jig and worm rods, they're for the most sensitive rod you can get, detecting the smallest little things on bottom. You try to use them for moving baits, they're horrible, in my opinion. The hookup ratio, for me anyway, is horrible with those rods on moving baits. Like, if they would have been, that rattle trap would have been popping off on those, I'd been like, okay, let me get a different rod, because that's probably what it would have been. But the older ones I had before, I tried over and over for a lot of, to be like a versatile rod. They're not that. The NRX Pluses are not that. Now, the Conquest is, because it is a more, it's an, and it is actually, it says right on it, MBR. Let me show you that real quick. So the Conquest, and they don't make, I don't think they make a 6'8" MBR in the Conquest, but it is MBR, just a medium though, 782. So the one I want to get is the GLX, so it's cheaper than all these if I could find a deal on one. But so far, like, everybody wants to sell new ones for, I think they're $550. And I have not found anybody selling the old one, which probably also tells me that anybody buys one, they fall in love with it, and there's none for sale anywhere. So that's the plan with that reel. Now let's go to this one. It's actually it looks like the heaviest rod I got, but it's because it's fiberglass. It's only considered also medium power, but this is the one I just picked up for. I don't even know why, because it's only $100, and I love the way they feel. Square bills and red-eye shads, and took the reel that I had on the other one that I bought. This is a LEWs Signature Series. This is a KVD one for square bills, red-eye shad, and I'll show you the deal. 7 foot power, medium action, moderate, 10 to 17, whatever. So anyway, I just got it to get it and see, because the other one I got just does so many other things pretty good that I'm like, I'll just get this one. It was $100. It was the last basic. They have one other reel, like a 7'6" Mark Rose one up there or something for $100, but I was like, I'll try this one. So far what I've my weights off the other ones when I went out this weekend. So I put this reel on it because this is 7.5 to 1, and the reel that I put on, the one this reel was on, is 8.5 to 1. So I wanted something where I can sling some baits and, have that 7.5 instead of the 8 to 1, a little more cranking type stuff. But this rod, it kind of, I got to double check it again. But I first started throwing some of these chatterbaits with it, and it actually feels like a decent chatterbait slinger. Like, it'll definitely throw, what it's rated for, it'll throw way more. It says 1/4 to 3/8, but that is like insane for only 3/8, because I throw... I've thrown the 5/8 chatterbaits with it so far. I've thrown a lot of stuff. I was just testing it out. I mean, only gave 100 for it. I put it through its paces and went, yeah, I like this rod too. I don't like it as well as the other one I'll be showing you guys, but I do like this rod. I just wish it wasn't quite as tip heavy, because I'm debating about putting weight in it or not, because you have to put so much weight to counter that then it probably would have an overall heavy feel. But this rod doesn't really start balancing until like way out here somewhere. Like, it's insanely tip heavy for what I'm used to. Like, for me, it's an overall lightweight rod. Like, it doesn't really necessarily feel like a fiberglass rod, and it works good. I'm liking it so far. I think $100 well spent. Would I give $189 for it? I don't know. Oh, let's talk about the reel. I've talked about this reel several times. I will tell you this thing was driving me nuts on this rod, because I was trying to really fling some baits out. And you want to talk about something that screams, when you throw a 3/4 ounce rattle trap on this, that reel screams like, wow! I'm like, Jesus. But man, it flies. It does cast very well. But that hyper mag, I guess you call it a love-hate relationship I got going on with it. I do Like the way it works, operates, it's smooth, cast, palms. It's just loud on the cast. On the cast, that's it. All right. And these, by the way, are in the order sort of the lightest to the heaviest. Not my favorite or nothing. So, oh yeah, the Fireball deal is probably just going to drop here shortly. That's a little clip of Fireball actually catching a fish. Thank God, Fireball. So, I just got a notification for it. This, what you're looking at, what you see before your eyes, if you're new to the channel, I'm sorry that surprised you so with so much greatness all in one little shot. But no, this is my favorite chatterbait, favorite overall rod and reel combo because of the rod. This is one of my favorite reels though, just because it's affordable and it does everything and it palms. It just, everything works good. Now I added some stuff to it that I'm still not sure if I like the way it looks. I'm still up in there. It's almost too blingy for me, and I know somebody just gasped like nothing's too blingy for you, Hicklin. But that right there is still an excellent all-around for like everything. So I'm going to read you the specs and all that for the blade. Let's talk about it first. That's the first of all, it is a Megabass Destroyer P5, the blade F568. They recommend it's 3/8 to 1 ounce, 10 to 25 pound line. Like, I don't know if I would go that crazy with it, but it's a little 6'8" powerhouse that like is capable of a lot, but it's forgiving enough that my hookup ratio with chatterbaits is insane, and it's also sensitive enough. I still think the P5s, you kind of need a moving thing. So like if I'm want to throw something on bottom and dragging it along, you know, throw a little heavier weight and I'm dragging like a jig, like if I'm just throwing it out and letting it drop like I do with sometimes with these shaky heads or like I was doing with the baby brush hog, it would not be my pick over the NRX pluses, but it's close with them, and it's a little bit because it the way it the stiffness but I still put it close to what those are in power, like the 803. I consider their whatever that is, F5, probably like the 803, closer to it. Maybe a touch stiffer than the 803, but I can't remember if I felt the 804 or not. But anyway, that combo right there, I did not really use it a lot. I was testing a lot of these other rod and reels and stuff, but I broke it out and boop, it just performs. Put a chatterbait on it, cast it out, it pulls them in. It's one of those. It kind of is like, if you guys remember me talking about the Carbon Light 2.0, 6'9", medium heavy, is probably still my all-time favorite of you can accidentally catch them on a chatterbait with that rod, and it shouldn't be for that, shouldn't work that good for it. But anyway, this rod is close to that. And it's crazy lightweight. The reel, for those of you that don't know or haven't, or you know, heard anybody's opinions or whatever on the Zillions, that thing is just flat out still everything's fine. Super smooth, got the hyperdrive, got the boost spool, cast awesome. And well, now with the, I think that handle is actually off one of my Steve's Limiteds. The different blingy stuff on it, it's hard to justify, but you could put everything stock right back on it. I'd added the drag clicker, 2 bearings up here. So at the time, I'm hoping AliExpress gets these back. This, I think I only gave 150 for it. But for like, I think they're still 220 or whatever they are. They're good reels. They will get you real close to like the Zillion. They're right there with the Zillion because of weight and everything, but they're way cheaper than the Zillion. All right, well, let's keep moving and try to get this show wrapped up. I also, something just snap, crackle, pop or something. This rod right here needs no introduction, but we'll introduce it. The Poison Adrena, I got it out again. Like I mentioned, I was trying to throw that rattle trap crankbait type deal, right? Hard bait. And I could not seem to hook a fish, and I was blaming this rod at the very beginning. I'm like, what is wrong with this rod? It's made in China. But no, this is an awesome rod. 7 to 28 grams, quarter to 1 ounce. This 611 medium plus is still probably right there with my most versatile, definitely one of them. Maybe a touch more sensitive than some of these Lew's reels. But I've been kind of trying to find a reel. And so that's the new Steez, the newest one, SVTW 2024, whatever. And I finally got some knobs on it I kind of like. I shaved those down. So that dude on it, I've been debating about getting the Metanium DC, but luckily for me, it's always out of stock, and they're like $350 or whatever on Digitaka, so I just didn't buy one. And after now getting this on it, I think I'm just gonna, for this season, leave this alone and leave that Steez on the Poison. You know, I know Shimano, Daiwa, but they love each other. Let them be. I think I'm gonna leave that alone. Honestly, though, I don't know if I'm gonna buy any more of these reels, period, because they don't have the adjuster. That's just a for looks kind of thing. You got a little tool, you can take it off and put oil on the bearing that's inside there. But that's probably how you get the bearing out or whatever. But there's no longer, the zero adjuster is truly a no adjuster. They can't even call it zero adjuster. There's nothing to adjust. You couldn't possibly adjust it if you wanted to. They couldn't even adjust it from the factory. There's just, it's a set deal in here now of whatever the tolerance is. So maybe you'd have to use spacers or something if for some reason one got out of whack. There's no adjustment over here. So yeah, like if there was any side to side. I like the reel. Comes with the drag clicker. I don't know if I love the reel. Does work, palm, everything's good, but it's like $500 reel. I just don't know that it's as good or better than what you can still get, the shallow spool one. I don't know if it's as good or better of a reel than these, the original Steez. And you can get the Steez A cheaper, which is an aluminum. This is a lightweight. The Steez A is still available, just like this, but an aluminum version. And I think they still have this. It says zero adjuster, but you can go in there and just the slightest little tick will, you know, sometimes that is what you need to help you out. So, yeah. Now, let's keep going. Let's keep going because there's more. Here is what's becoming my favorite thing, just to throw my chatterbaits, the jerkbaits, just stuff on. And you guys already know what I'm going to say, fellow channel. My KVD jerkbait rod, I love throwing chatterbaits, just like I do with the blade. The thing that is more comfortable about it is it's got this soft touch here and the wind stuff. So it honestly, it's 6'10". Let's look at the specs real quick. Let me turn around. It just works. It's a 6'10", medium heavy, 12 to 25 lure, 3 to 3/4. But this thing, with it's just how comfortable it is, and the fact that it just flat out, you know, when you get hit and bit, it I don't know. It's sensitive. It's got a good, I guess, forgiveness to it as far as, you know, the fish staying on. So, not really just because of that reason, I went ahead and I put the Zillion back together, because those of you that don't know, and I also cut those down a little differently. I actually like this a little bit better. The other ones almost look too, like, triangular on that Steez SVTW. And these, I wish I had the darker. These are that lighter silver, not that gunmetal color. Through the Zillion, took all the gold. It's all gone. Put it all back to stock to where now the little zero adjuster matches the spool color. Zion Dragstar, which is the only thing I'm sort of like, maybe, just maybe, I should put my favorite Dragstar in the world on it, which is this guy that you cannot get anymore. Hang on, let's look at this real quick. I just now thought about that. So this I've had on a couple different reels, and I've been waiting to see if anybody would come out with them again. I know what you're thinking. That's just looks like any other one, but it's not. This Gomexus one, it's got these cutouts, and it's actually, this is like machined, and then this is more of a matte silver color. It's just a fancier one that I can't find anymore. But it may be time to go ahead and slap it on this. Maybe not this Zillion. I may buy a brand new Zillion and put it on it, or the maybe get another, what you call it, Tatula. But yeah, if you guys know if there's a way to get the actual ones, because all the other ones, all the knockoff, because the Gomexus is even being knocked off by other companies in China, but even anything Gomexus, they kind of dummied them down. They're not as fancy, not as well made. They're not as much refinement in them as what that one is. So I know they made it. I have one. They could easily just make them like that. They're just a little bit fancier. But anyway, the Zillion, if you guys don't know about it, maybe the most awesome reel on the planet, maybe the worst paint finish on the planet. I've scratched this dude up just like a couple weeks ago right there. Other than that, I'd only ever just, from palming it, my thumb had totally wore the paint down in that happened within like the first 6 months to you, like fast. Like wherever the edges are, it's kind of worn the paint off. And they're just notorious. The paint finish, it looks good, but it does not last on the Zillions. But everything else, these are little casting machines, right? Hyperdrive, the boost. I believe these were the first, weren't these the first reels that come out with the boost spools? But awesome reel, awesome combo. It was working good. I'm still like, so now you'd almost have a toss-up. I know this may sound kind of funny. But for two favorites, like right at the moment, either of these, just favorite all around. Now, this is going to be a little heavier overall combo, just because it's at 6'10". This is a little heavier rod, but they're kind of close on what you can do with them. But I would say either one of those is not quite what this one is, and it's funny because this one is in between them in the power lineup, but this Poison Adrena is probably the rod is more capable of going all the way this way or all the way that way than either of those two rods that I just showed you that I like about the same. But this one, I don't know. There's just something about it with Chatterbaits. It's not quite. It's not like my favorite Ford like Chatterbaits. And like Chatterbaits and a rod that can do other stuff. So let's keep going. We've only got a couple more, and then we'll talk about it. Wow, we're going hard tonight. Your only baitcaster lose Mock Crush? Yeah, not the Mock Crush. Yeah, no, Smash. Bonsai Guy, one of the first. So if you go back, Bass and Bonsai, the Mach Pro, I had that, did the combo, oh shoot. I did a video on awesome rod. I actually was on Chatterbaits and everything else with it, and it worked. Like that rod worked and felt very good. And then, I don't remember how long. I remember what happened, that I broke the tip off, and I took it back, and I just didn't get another one because I don't know for sure. You guys know how it is. Anytime a rod breaks, like, was it really the rod or was it you? Or, do you want to get another one and test it and this and that? But it shouldn't have broke, and it broke. So but I didn't, I never really said anything about it because overall that rod was very good. And when I looked around, there wasn't a lot of people talking about them just having breakage issues. But the Mach Pro, there's a video out me fishing. Like that rod was on it. Like the rod and reel wasn't bad. And that's several years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But then Bonsai Guy shows up and we went fishing with him, the Mach Smash, I believe. And I was always going to buy the orange combo just because for the money. And then the one I would get, the Mach Jacked, I've been going to get one of those. But I have so many rod and reels now. Like I was just going to get one, so I could make some videos, use it, and because I know it'd be good. I was going to get the 6.8, I believe it's medium. They got a 6.8 medium combo you can get. And I know I could use it and but I just don't need it. But when you want to talk about the top dog, if you're a loser and you want to be a real loser, you're going to need to get one of these. You're going to need the Elite TI, and you're going to want to get, in my opinion, because as you guys are starting to probably see, this is upside down. Oh my God. Let me turn it around. A pattern here. That 6'8", 10 6'9" is like where that's my sweet spot. 6'10", medium heavy. This is also one that's kind of 3/16, 5/8. Good for all around, but I'll be honest, I can't make myself like this rod and reel combo as much as I like that Signature series. And it's not the reel. I like this reel better than I like the Hyper Mag. I don't know if I like it as well as I like the Zillion, but I don't have any issues with this reel. This rod, if I had to call it, is just something about the tip. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Everything. It's an excellent rod, but it's kind of I put it kind of like what I do with the Poison Adrena. There, I can't put my finger on what I don't like as well as I do some of these other rods I've talked about, because I don't not like. There's not one thing I can name that I don't like about the combo. The whole setup, out fishing it, but there's just something that is a little not as good in my opinion as like those ones I just showed you. The blade with the, and it's really the rod. It's not necessarily this reel, but like the blade, the KVD jerkbait rod, even my Super Destroyer, which it's only good for one far end, but it's got like it just is awesome. But the, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But something about this rod, I'm still trying to make myself like it for. Like I think it's good for everything. It's a good all around. That 6'10" medium heavy, and it's definitely a comfortable. But I honestly think the first of all the Signature series is I honestly more comfortable to use by just a smidgen. This reel seat isn't quite as comfortable as the other one. I honestly I feel it's a touch more capable. I think this may be a touch more sensitive, but I'm kind of using them for like a all around. And I just need to go out and put more time with this one. But for the money, I got a deal. If you guys don't know, they got the deal. That's the Elite TIs. They went down in price. They're for I don't know how long. They couldn't give them away for $3.99, and then they jumped back to $5.99. But when they jumped down to $3.99, Rogers even had this one for, it was under $3.50. I can't remember what it was, and the rod was $199. So the I bought the rod first. No, wait, no. Wait a minute. What did I buy first? I bought the reel. So I bought the reel, and I bought the black, whatever the TPI black or whatever rod, because they had it on clearance. So I bought the reel and that rod because that rod was all black with just a little bit of gold, and I'm like, okay, I'll have that combo. Well, as soon as I put it together, I realized that I cannot use those any of the LEWs that have that trigger with the little hole in the middle. It moves, it slides the reel. How does it do it? Anyway, this setting is different. It's like it slides the reel back further. So the gap right here, the reel comes back. So I like to palm like this, and it just makes everything too tight to where you'd have to palm with your fingers like this to work. And like right now, this feels like this is too far forward, but that's how I've always palmed in the last, I don't know, 5, 8 years, something like that. I just leave that one finger so I don't go all the way in front, because that feels like way too awkward. I feel like I still have a total control on everything, and that loose style doesn't work for me. So I got to have the ones that don't have that. So anyway, I took it right back, and they went ahead and took it back, and then they had knocked these down to $199. So I bought that, put it together, and it's an excellent combo. But I would not pay, still to this day, I don't think I'd pay $500 for this reel, and I wouldn't pay $3 whatever for this rod. Because for that price, $500, you can go get a lot of new high-end Daiwa or Shimano for $5. All the ones I've shown you, like they're still, the newest one out right now, that CT or whatever, is only like $519 through Digitaka. Rods, you can get a lot of rod for $350, but for $200, I mean, and then $350, would I buy another one? Honestly, I probably would. I'd probably, if I could get another one of these for for sure if I could get one of these for $300 or $350, and another one of these rods for 200, and then a different. I forget what size. There's one size I wanted, but guess what? Rogers has a couple 7 foot something medium or whatever, but I don't want those up there for $200 still right now. All right, let's move on. So it's not that it's a disappointment or anything. It's an awesome setup, but it's just not quite there. So let's talk about my other combo. That's not a combo. It's missing a reel. Oh my gosh. What happened, Chris Zaldane? The Super Destroyer has gotten destroyed. It had, and I'll show you the reel, and I just couldn't make myself like it together. I like both of these, but the Super Destroyer is an awesome spinnerbait rod. I like it for jigs and spinnerbaits. I know it's weird. The SV3 knockoff actually is what I really like it for, but spinnerbaits in general, I love this rod. It's got that instant like doink, and they're just hooked, and then you just reel them in. But I had this reel on it right here, and let me put it on there just so you guys can see it that haven't seen it. But I took it back off today because I got one coming, and we'll talk about it too. But I had this reel, and I got that knob and handle assembly from Crazy Lou's lady, and it actually goes real well on that Custom Pro. And this is it's a good looking, working. Everything's fine with it. But I don't know. There's just something like, it's a little something's off. Just like you guys know. If you know by now, I'm a little picky when it comes to some of this stuff, and I should just shut up and go fish, right? But I can't. So I'm taking that off, and this may go back on the Dobbins. Let's just leave this dude right here. Let's just set him right there. Now I have to switch that. So here's what I got coming. The Megabass Super Destroyer is still going to have a lose on it because it happened. I don't even know how I got lucky enough to be a lucky winner of an eBay auction, but they had the newest LEWs Elite. Is it the BBI? Is it the Elite BBI? I don't know, the BBI Pro or whatever. So it's like an all black reel with some of the colors that are going to be not far from this. Deep spool. It's got the braking. Unfortunately, just like that Hyper Mag, that's going to probably be a little loud. But usually with this rod, I'm not bombing cast. This rod, I'm usually target shooting stuff, so it probably won't matter. And it's only 7.5 to 1, which is fine because 7.5 isn't far from 8.1, and that's what I had the Megabass. I had the Daiwa HLC Steez on it, and it felt real good for that. And I'll talk about why I didn't leave it on it either. But so the BB1 from LEWs that I got coming, supposed to be here tomorrow. I will put it on there probably with that handle, but what I'll probably do is take just these knobs and leave the handle that comes with the BB1 on it, because it's got that kind of a lot of people don't like it, but it's got that like brownish black. It's not really a true black, and a lot of these, the Zillion has it. Like there's several reels come out now with it on it. The Hyper Mag's got some of that color on it. I actually like that color. And it's kind of not far from what, well, this is too shiny, but not far from what like some of this coloring is on the P5 Megabass stuff. So anyway, this isn't going anywhere. We'll look at it next live I do when I get it all rigged up and together and try it. Now, it's not 100% it's going to stick, but we're going to see. Now, I haven't talked to Jeremy, but he came and bought the 6'10" medium X Pride from me, and then he said he probably wanted to buy this too. So the Dobbins, it was the one rod that really, it was a letdown or anything. I picked it up new, but on clearance for $200. And I just was like, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I probably needed to put more time with it. And I don't really care either way. I just offered it to Jeremy. If he wants it for $200, I'm going to sell it. If he doesn't want it, I know what I'm going to do now, because I got more reels than I do rods really that I planned on using. I'm going to put this right back on it and fish it, because this does look, work, and everything good. But I'm not going to try to orange it up. I'm going to try to actually orange it down. I'm just going to leave it like that and probably put the handle assembly on it that I had on it without those funky orange things that was on it. Where's that handle assembly? Do I still have it laying around? So yeah, this one. And this has actually got the handle with that. You probably can't make it out on camera, but it's actually that brown color instead of black. But I'll probably put that right back on it, but do away with those orange, and maybe even try to figure out how to do away with the orangey color on that, because it's just two. You know, you OG'd or it's like OG and over golden. It's OO and it's over oranging. But no, you know what? I'll leave it on there for now. That is a good combo. I guess I could talk about it real quick, because if you haven't, the Dobbins, I don't have any complaints about this. This rod is actually tough. This is a tough, stout, strong rod. And I just noticed not long ago that for whatever reason, all of these guides seem to be the exact same color as what the Thunder Cricket hook is. They're like very close. They're like that dark silver. Very close. Maybe that's a sign. Too bad, Jeremy. I already got a sign from baby Jesus. Sweet naked baby Jesus just told me to fish the 5/8 Thunder Crickets on a Dobbins. 7-foot upside down, one piece, 10 to 20 pound line, quarter to 1 ounce. It's capable of doing it. Oh, fast action. Maybe I'm out. Let me check the action. No, it could do it. It could do it. We'll try it if Jeremy doesn't buy it by this next weekend. We'll try a Thunder Cricket on it just to see what she does. All right, we got one more to go. And then before we do it, I'm just going to show you real quick. Blast from the past, just literally like a couple years ago. But I still got this dude, and I've got him about ready to break back out. So I've redone some little things. This is the Joker. This is an old lingle that I customized however many years ago. Changed it up, single lifestyle. It's the only reel that I currently still own that is got the single lifestyle handle that I made. And actually, this one is even cut down. That is like a 72 millimeter. It is, or comparable if it was a whole one. It would only be like, it would be under 75, I think, is how I measure. I just took, there's a handle that have the extra hole like right before where the normal shaft comes out. So I just cut that off, and then you can buy those shaft assemblies, and I put one of those on it, tweaked it a little bit, done a little shaving here and there, and then polished it all up, added some of the bling here and there, added a little, just to get it higher, sort of like what, kind of closer to what Shimano's are. I felt like I needed a little higher thumb perch, right, to activate the clutch. And so the lingle that is now the Joker still rides on the feeling. I quit recommending this stuff. Honestly, I would be fishing this probably every time I go out if they still had the lingle available through AliExpress and the filling rods. But you can't. You cannot get this stuff no matter what you do. They're like, it's like an impossible task. These are awesome though. This everything about this was a pretty good deal. 2-piece rod. Anyway, you go back and look at old video of me talking about and using all that kind of stuff. But what you can still get, and I showed this one briefly when we were talking about Dr. Krankenstein. You can still go on AliExpress right now, but you might want to wait till the price goes down. I'm pretty sure you can still get the Habo Arise Elite BFS. You can get a Teton. It's in the 662, not the 1, which what I have, but the Teton rods, they're legit. They're truly like, they're not a fiberglass blank, but they're more of a bendy. They're more of like a, not even a moderate flex. They're more of like a full flex. So if you look, like that's right going in, like this thing flexes all the way past the first, what fly fishermen call like the stripper guide. it flexes down into everything on the 522 super ultralight, all that kind of stuff. But those Tettons are definitely legit. So to wrap the show up, guys, let's talk about. Thank you, Dave. Said that's nice. I'm not sure which one you were talking about, but thank you. I reinstalled the greatness to the Steez HLC, and I threw it back on the Tequila Baccarat because, and it's still a possibility that I'm going to get out of swim baiting and sell this whole combo, swim baits and all. But until I do, and if I don't, no big deal. What I am going to start doing is going out and setting some time to just throw swim bait kind of thing. Throw bigger baits in general. Swim baits, and then the baits what I associate with looking for a bigger bite. Big jigs, you know, that kind of thing with this combo. Because this is an excelente combo for throwing the big stuff. Now I got 40, I believe that's 40-pound braid. Let me double check myself. Oh boy, where's all my braid? Well, I think, yeah, 40-pound Perbero. It's right here. Let me get it. 40-pound Perbero blade. I want to say that was, yeah, 300 meters. I can't remember what I paid for it. But I put that on it with the 30-pound P-Line Original. It's in there. And this baby, that's the big Gomexus power handle. I have a spare in case I break one off on the Giant. No, you're not going to mess up that handle. And that's a crazy thick drag star. I didn't order it that way. I just ordered one, and this one came out way heavier and thicker than any of them I've ever seen. And so I stuck it on this one. What else? I think that's about it. Because this one came with it. I think this one, yeah, this one came with the drag clicker. It's the HLC. Now I did switch it. I guess let me talk about that real quick because I did. This is the one. It's got the boost and all that, but with the Hypermag for the gear smoothness, boost for the thing. But it's kind of known. It's got the huge spool, and it's supposed to be, you know, hyper long cast, right? So let's, since I've got it the line not rigged up. So it came with, you know, the boost. So what I had to do in order for me to be able to use it right, if you guys look, I can actually push it in. Because it had two springs out here, right? That's what the boost is. It's like a two-stage spring thing, right? Two springs. I literally put the one softest spring on the inside. So now it's not, I don't know, I guess you'd call it, it's not really a boost, but that's what I had to do to it to get it to be not unruly in order for me to fish it. Because the other way, it was insanely not good. It was a backlash beast. I didn't like the reel at all. I was literally like gonna get her gone, but then I was like, let me try this. So it has everything that it came with is still in there, just put in on the other side of it. So I can switch it back if I need to. I never see a reason to because it casts very great, slings the big baits, does everything like you'd want it to do. Awesome combo like together. This reel by itself, it's got such a huge spool, like other than, you know, throwing all that line. I guess if you were really looking for something to throw distance, like topwater things on a certain rod or big cranks kind of deal, maybe that reel would be good for that. But it's kind of pigeonholed and limits itself just by that crazy huge spool and how you still want to throw big baits really with this reel just because the spool's so big. But that Tequila back rack and that combo, like, it will handle all kinds of stuff. And what was weird is after I got this together and I threw all these different big swim baits with it, what was very nice to throw with it was the big chatterbaits, like the Z-Man Originals, and I haven't actually even tried it because I just now put it back together since I started buying Thunder Crickets, but I might try the Thunder Crickets, but they got a pretty small blade. But the big blade was my favorite thing to throw with this. That big blade, just fling it out there, and it, like this big power, handle and all that, it like the big blade comes back like a normal chatterbait would on a normal, rod and reel kind of deal. It's just made it like easier to throw the big blade, and it felt real good. And the hookup ratio was good when they did hit it, because it's got kind of that full flex. It's a powerful full flex, but anyway. So that is it. Rod and reel combos at the moment. Working on a couple. I still got a whole extra Poison Adrena, brand new. I've got the Step Up from the Feeling. I've got what used to be my favorite chatterbait rod, and the 13 Fishing Fate Black still sitting there, and four or five other BFS rods that don't have reels. So yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe getting, well, the reel that's coming tomorrow, putting it on a Superstore, see what it does, and then if I get a chance to get a deal on the GLX 803 MBR. So if you guys know of a deal on one, because the cheapest I've seen one on eBay right now, $550 or best offer. It says. I haven't even offered them anything because I'm like, I don't even know. I don't need one, but I would like to get one. I already got a reel. Here's $500 reels just sitting here waiting for it, right? So I'm halfway there. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, and all that kind of stuff on this, be looking forward to... Oh, I forgot to even... I just glazed over the whole other thing I was going to tell you guys. Before we get to 2 hours, I'm going to just tell you. I got computer problems with my friggin' computer, and I took away DaVinci Resolve, and I can't seem to get a editor back in that works right with my computer to edit video. So what I'm having to do... and I knew that going into this weekend's fishing. So me and Charles, I tried to get 10-minute intervals of what I could just put out. So that's kind of the reason that Fireball video that's coming out is going to be there. And you're going to see a couple little part 1 and 2s. They're basically a couple 10-minute videos of fishing with some of these smaller baits. So anyway, there's going to be short videos, starting tomorrow all through the week. 6 a.m. You can pick whatever time to watch them, but please watch those videos and just comment what you think on that kind of setup, because I may start doing more stuff like that. Because my most views a lot of times come right here by coming and doing live streams, or by the weirdest random little clip I throw together, like I threw together out here out front, how to set up a bait caster. That's got more views than any of my videos in a long time. Eventually some of them kick in and get 2 to 5,000 or 10,000, whatever, but they start out 2 to 500. Some jump to 1,000, but that one jumped right to 1,000, and it really was simple to make, and I didn't have to do any video editing. And then the next one that jumped up there was when we were leaving. I just took all my baits and started talking about, all the different colored chatterbaits I used. That video went crazy. And that was actually not even edited. It was just a clip of that I thought ended up being 8 minutes. I'm like, I can't even put this outro in a video because it'll make the video, over like a half-hour video into 40, 50 minutes or whatever. So I put it out by itself, and you guys went nuts for that one. So anyway, we're trying it this week until I figure out what editor to get, and a good one. And a free one, because this channel still doesn't generate income, so to speak. But if it does start generating income, I still would rather, I'm tightwad, right? We get cheap baits from AliExpress, and we get deals from Tackle Warehouse, Rogers, stuff like that. I would like to... I'm probably going to have to get a new computer the way it looks, but rug burn's got to get fixed. Daddy needs a new GLX, and I need a new computer. But anyway, don't worry about it. We're going to get it all figured out. And I know I've spent way too much money on bass fishing gear already. I've got like 14 rod and reel combos. I don't need another one. I probably need a new computer over that. I got a good laptop, but I think it's just so old. I could take it in and pay money to get it fixed, but it may be easier just to buy a whole new computer and then do it from don't worry about trying to do it. I did it on a laptop before because I thought, okay, well, I can go, I go down with Charles and fish, and I can take the laptop and put the footage on it and then go fishing again, from the SD cards and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I just may need to have a faster speed computer, not a laptop. So I may go that way. Anyway, guys, I know. thanks for watching. Watch those little videos coming up this week, and I'll be doing another live stream here and there or whatever through the week. And I'm going to try to make sure and get to Fireball Friday night because I'm pretty sure. Let's see this dude. That I'm going to be able to catch another bass on old Fireball. Look at that. You guys, you thirsty? You don't get none. Look at that. Is that a red eye shad? No, that's Fireball. All right, guys. I'm done. See you later. Get out. And whatever you go do, have fun doing it. I'm going to go bass and bombs eye.